Okay, so remember when Chappell Roan walked the red carpet at the 2026 Grammy Awards? The internet just went nuts, right? But here's the thing. The entire conversation about shock value and bravery completely missed the real story. It wasn't about what she was revealing, but about what was hidden. A truly brilliant feat of engineering.
So let's set the scene. It's the 68th Grammys. Chappell Roan steps out in this incredible burgundy Mugler dress. And bam! The reaction is instantaneous. The whole thing looked like it was just hanging there, suspended by nothing more than nipple piercings. Of course, it dominated headlines and social media feeds in seconds.
And that's the narrative that took hold, right? That this was all just a stunt, about being topless on the red carpet, trying to get attention. The words tacky and shocking were all over the place. But that whole conversation, it was based on a complete misunderstanding of what we were even looking at.
So what if 90% of that chatter, all those hot takes, just completely missed the boat? Because that's what we're digging into here. Underneath what looked like a simple, provocative fashion statement, there was a masterclass in structural mechanics, and it seriously changes how we should think about artistry and design.
All right, so let's just reframe this whole thing. This wasn't a story about a lack of clothing. Not at all. It was a story about an abundance of design, of pure precision. It's time to shift our focus from the skin to the science.
Okay, so this slide really breaks it down. On one side, you have what everyone thought they saw, real piercings, holding up a dress, a woman basically topless. But the reality, it was something else entirely. Those weren't real piercings. They were engineered prosthetic pasties with fake piercings on them. And she wasn't topless. The gown was brilliantly suspended from two carefully engineered anchor points. You see, this wasn't a wardrobe choice, it was a full-on structural system.
And that term, structural anchor point, that is everything. Seriously, these were not fashion accessories. Think of them more like the supports on a bridge, a system built to bear a specific load. All the forces acting on that dress had to be meticulously calculated and controlled. This is pure physics.
So how in the world did the Mugler atelier actually pull this off? Well, this is where high fashion collides with some serious physics. It took a deep, deep understanding of materials, human anatomy, and the forces of motion.
The whole process was basically a three-part engineering challenge. First, the anchor point design. Those pasties had to be an absolutely stable mounting system for the entire gown. Second, and this part is so clever, was load distribution. The dress wasn't just pulling down from those two small points. No way. It was engineered so its weight actually rested on her hips. And finally, you had to have the right materials. Super lightweight muslin for the gown and some really advanced robust adhesives for the anchors.
And don't forget, she wasn't just standing there like a statue. She was walking, turning for the cameras, posing. The engineers had to think about everything. The momentum of the fabric as she moved, friction against her skin, the integrity of the adhesive under those hot lights, and just the incredibly complex mechanics of a moving human body.
And get this wasn't some new idea they just cooked up. This timeline shows that Thierry Mugler was actually exploring this very concept way back in 1998. It shows a decades-long fascination with perfecting this specific engineering challenge. And the goal then, just like it was for Chappell Roan, was to create this kind of elegant, goddess-like effect, not something crude.
So this entire discussion about the dress brings up a much bigger question, one that applies way beyond the red carpet and into the entire world of body art and modification. And that question is, where do you draw the line between true artistry and just a dangerous gimmick?
And this is where we find the answer. The problem is never about being bold. Bold is great. The real problem is when a bold idea isn't backed by brilliant, safe, and thoughtful execution. Roan's dress succeeded because the boldness was matched by the engineering. Without that perfect balance, it's not art, it's just a risk.
Now, let's apply this same thinking to tattoos. You see this wild statistic that 1 in 4 people regret getting one. And yeah, sure, some of that is just personal taste changing over time, but a lot of it comes down to poor execution. Artists who didn't understand ink chemistry, skin mechanics, or proper healing. The idea for the tattoo might have been bold, but the engineering was flawed.
So what's the solution? Well, we should all start demanding what we can call the bulletproof standard. And this applies whether you're the creator or the client, the artist, or just the person admiring the work. So for any artist out there, this means you got to start thinking like an engineer. It's not enough to just have a vision. You have to understand your materials, know the human body, and research the science behind what you're doing. True innovation comes from mastering the physics, not just pushing the look. And for the rest of us, as clients and consumers, this is incredibly empowering. We can demand the engineering, ask why behind the technical choices, inquire about what's in the ink,
And here's a big one: ask to see healed examples of their work, not just a fresh photo on Instagram. We need to be skeptical of anyone selling a bold idea without a bulletproof plan to back it up.
So, the next time you see something that seems shocking or daring, ask yourself a new question. Is it just brave, or is it also bulletproof? Because Chappell Roan'S dress proved that when you combine bold artistry with brilliant engineering, you don't get a gimmick, you get a masterpiece. And that is the standard we should all be looking for.